Gardner-Webb head coach Cris Reisert, the team coming off a game at FBS foe Georgia Tech. They are back in action. Home opener, hosting the Citadel Saturday evening. So, coach, just some thoughts about your team. We'll go to some questions.
Yeah, excited to be home. Looking forward to a really good test against Citadel, coming off a good win at Sanford. Excited to take the next step as a program and compete against another FCS foe, and looking forward to doing it in Boiling Springs, North Carolina. So we're fired up and ready to roll.
Thanks, coach. We got some questions. Jacob is with us. Jacob, you go ahead, whatever you got first.
Coach, just tell me a little bit about. I know you took a step up in competition, but what did you learn about your team from this past Saturday that maybe you liked, and some of the things you need to work on?
Yeah, I think we got a ton of guys in the game. It was an opportunity, for us to get a ton of guys that didn't get a chance to play in week one, got to play in week two. And so that was really, really big, just to help depth and allow that to grow. I think we saw some really good things. Offensively, we operated fairly well. Left a few plays out there, that had we had, I think, create maybe a different story of the game. Defensively, I think you saw a lot of solid things. We got to eliminate the big play. That obviously was unfortunate, especially later in the game. We had some of our reserve guys in, and you get banged, twice in the fourth quarter on screens. That leaves a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth. But all in all, I told the guys I thought it was really a confidence building game, not a confidence diminishing game. And we all know what that is and what that is at this level. And so we're just trying to be mindful of, one, let's just focus on the main thing, which is just Gardner-Webb getting better and getting ready to go in week 3.
Coach, was your quarterback rotation predetermined, or did you just make adjustments as the game was going on?
Yeah, I think you're always adjusting as the game's going on. I think you have a plan until you get punched in the mouth, and then it quietly it changes or it modifies. And our big thing is just making sure we can go into week 3 with 2 healthy guys, and so and we're happy that we are, and so we'll be ready to go.
Coach, tell me a little bit about the Citadel. I was looking at their stats. It looks like they're a run-heavy team. Are they a traditional triple option military style offense, or?
Yeah, not probably in the traditional sense, but they do have a lot of triple option components. They can play in a couple of different ways. They can play in more of that 2-back, 3-back mold, or they can play in more of a pseudo traditional world and 11 personnel world. They do a lot of offense, and they it's like the biggest thing with these guys is every single play you've got to be present and focused, and because the one you aren't is the one that gets you on. It's the same thing for our offense going against their defense. They do a lot of good things schematically. They create a lot of issues just by moving and shifting and trading, and they've a lot of them have been in the system for a long time, so they're able to move a little bit more freely throughout. And so we've just got to be super present and focused on every play, and can't let one play get ahead of us, and can't let a previous play affect the way we feel about the next one. We just got to be able to stay present and be in the moment.
Last question for me. How good is it going to be at home after 2 weeks on the road?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be beautiful. Just the sheer nature of not having to get on a bus and to sleep in your own bed, and to do it in front of your family. And there's always different issues that pop up while you're at home, but it's like you'd much rather have those issues, especially this early in the season, not having a home game yet. We're really excited to be in Spangler Stadium and really excited to do it in front of our home fans and our home students. And I hope that it's a really fun environment.
All right, Coach. Thank you. I'll let somebody else jump on and ask you
Thanks,
some
Jacob.
questions.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, Coach, obviously Georgia Tech's pretty good. And you mentioned some of the things there in the fourth quarter, and they scored some. Was there another difference maker in the game, like early on, that they did that, I don't know, maybe you weren't prepared for? They were just really good at what they did that sort of let them get out to the lead?
Well, it was 7-6 at the end of the first quarter. And really we were playing pretty good football. We got 2 quick takeaways. We got a sack fumble recovery, and then an interception, and then had the opportunity, really scored first. So we ended up going up 6-0. We struggled with our field goal protection, unfortunately. Had quite a few blocks there, and so that we got to get that shored up. And they had some real guys that were rushing in the A gaps and put some stress on our guys, and we'll fix that with personnel. But that was really the big thing. And then as the game went on, I think what you see as you play in these games, right, is the depth starts to take over, right? we're playing 5 linemen early, they're playing 12 D linemen, right? We're playing, 6 D linemen, they're playing 8 O linemen, right? And so, they're rotating on every play on offense. And so they're just fresh. And eventually, when you're playing guys that are really, really fresh and you're getting a maximum effort on every single play, and our guys are starting to wear down a little bit, I think that's kind of what you see over time. And so we felt like we could have been in a better position, certainly. Had we not got a kick blocked for a touchdown, I think that would have put us in a different environment. We had a couple plays at the end of the first half that hit a catch here or there that I think in the halftime in a different world too. So I don't know that it was one thing, Kyle. I think it was more a conglomerate of, eventually, it kind of wore us down a little bit. And it at the end of the day, our hope was to get a great experience and to get out of there healthy. And so, we were able to do that in most ways. And so that was important, getting ready to play Citadel, who will be a really physical football team in week 3.
Talk a little about Anthony Lowe's performance then. You've been with him for a while, obviously, and he had some really good numbers, and he's done some good things for you this year and obviously last year and times before.
Yeah, no, I mean he's a stud, right? He's finally healthy. He was healthy for us at Tiffin, and was an All-American in 22, and then missed all of 23, and came here in 24 and really didn't get healthy until, I felt like he was back in like week 9, and so really you're seeing kind of who he is in week 1 and week 2, and I think honestly his best ball is ahead of him. And that was the thing that was cool, like you go and play a really great team in Georgia Tech, but we had a bunch of guys that they weren't out of place, and Ant, I think, went 8 for 88 or something like that. And honestly, should have been well over 100 on the day. And so I think that was cool. Guys like Antonio Berry had a nice day, had a strip fumble, right? Jakari Bryce had some really nice tackles. We played really well at corner. And so I think you're seeing, things that really energize you for moving forward. It's just the overall score maybe doesn't scream it at you, but we see a lot of really positive things. And Ant was one of them.
We'll leave you on this, and you just referenced the Citadel again. If they do something, you talked about the option things. When you don't see something like that very often, how hard is it to prepare for in a limited amount of time?
It is. It's tough, right? And you got to build stuff in throughout spring and throughout summer, but it is. It's you're cramming, right? You're cramming, a few months of activity into a few days, right? So that's where your plan has to be really buttoned up and simplistic enough to execute, but complex enough to create opportunities for TFLs and takeaways and things of that sort. And so I think we've got a really good balance. I think we've got a really fine line there, and we're excited for that. And then offensively, we've got to continue to play good football. We've got to put the ball in the end zone a little bit more than we did last week. And I'm confident that if we execute, we'll be in a position to do that.
And is it any different preparing for like the first game of the year now that teams have so much change? Is that sort of this? Is that playing a team like that? Is that sort of the same like when you play somebody with a new coaching staff? Those wrinkles you just asked.
Yeah, I think in week 3 you have a better idea of what they are, but there's still not enough football to have a true gauge. I think when you get in about week 5, it's like, all right, cool, this is what they do. And there might be a wrinkle here and there, but week 3, they've played 2 pretty different teams. With North Dakota State and with Samford, and North Dakota State's more run heavy, Samford's more pass heavy, right? Both kind of quarters based in the back end, so you get a little bit of something, at least to see what offensively they do. But I think more than anything, it's there's still things yet to come. They'll have some wrinkles that we haven't seen or haven't prepared for, and which is football. And then you've got to be able to play the game and make a play here and negate that and go on to the next play. And so we'll be ready for that. And we're aware that it's probably there's some things we haven't seen that may be coming, and we've got to be able to weather the storm and lock in.
Well, perfect, Coach. Appreciate your time as always. Best of luck this weekend. We'll talk to you again this time next week.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it. Take care.